Hello everybody, welcome to our first Antons machinery webinar. We are live, I believe. We're totally unscripted, so hopefully nothing goes wrong here. But thank you very much, guys. We do appreciate your support today. It means a lot to us. Obviously, out there in Frameland, you're all very busy at your workshops, so we do thank you for your time today and appreciate you just viewing a little bit of knowledge that we're going to go through here today, and hopefully you can pick up one or two things that may be helpful in assistance with your machinery procedures. Before we get, I introduce Alan today, I just want to just touch on our machinery department and how we work. We have two dedicated technicians at Antons, Australia. We have Mr. Shannon May, who looks after Queensland and New South Wales territories. So all the customers over there will be accustomed to Shannon. Down south here, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia and Tasmania, we have Mr. Allen Jeffery to my right hand side here, who has been with Antons now for over 10 years. Vast machinery experience. Has travelled the world, basically to our vendors, Valiani, Alpha Machinery, sorry, and more so. And his knowledge on all types of machinery is superior. So we certainly value Alan's experience on board with us. And today we're just going to basically pinpoint some machines, some basic machinery through to our computerized back cutters as well, and just go over some general tips and tricks in terms of maintenance and what to look out for certainly leading into the busy period of the year. So first of all, I'd like you to introduce to Allen Jeffery. What we're going to touch on first is the U400S and what to look out for, which is the basically our most popular model of the underpinner, the Alpha underpinner. So I'll hand it over to Alan, and he can start off first.
Yeah, good guys. As Andrew was saying, this is the U400S. Basically, it's the same as the old Migra 44, which either most of you will have or someone you know will have. They're quite extensively throughout the picture framing industry. Yeah, so it's a pneumatically driven machine, and it's pneumatically driven. It's to make sure that all the air supply to the machine is dry air, no water in the system. So that's what will kill anything that's pneumatically driven. So your air compressor needs to be checked once a month or less, depending on how much water is getting into the system. On the 44 or U400, we do have a filter regulated system here, which the first bowl will actually catch some water. So you can actually drain that from this little knob here. Just turn that and lift it up, and that'll just drain any water that's in the system. The next is a lubrication system. So that's filled with an air tool oil or hydraulic vapor oil. What that does is it lubricates the valves, which just a drop or two of oil into the system lubricates all the valves. So you need to make sure that you do have oil in there.
How often do you have to add oil into a machine like this?
Could be every 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, depending on how much you use the machine. If you've not used any oil in the last 12 months, 2 years, maybe your regulator might be jammed, might need to be cleaned out or replaced. Or if it's using way too much too quickly, there is an adjustment we can set on that as well. Also with the machine, as it's pneumatically driven, when it goes through its cycles, you will hear a gush of air as each valve opens, but you shouldn't hear any leakage of air in any of the strokes. So while it's sitting silent, as it is, when the clamps go down, when the hammer comes up, you shouldn't hear any other leaking. If there is, it means you're getting a leak through one of the valves or one of the seals, you know, the hammer, the top clamp, the rear clamp, anything like that.
The new pressure clamping system, Alan, do you want to elaborate on this?
Yep.
And way it works?
So what the U400S has come up with a couple of different clamping systems opposed to what you used to. The other one was a little lever that turned around, had some little notches in here. What could happen is it would slip up and down or it would wear out. What they've done now is they've got a little pin that you can release and just lift up and it will lock into place. So it's easier to set your heights. Next is a new pad system. So before you'd have to replace this whole pad if the your rubber was damaged. So what we have now is removable rubbers. So you just plug the rubber on.
So they're in accordance to the different types of timbers.
Yep. Yep. So there's 3 different types of rubbers. We have a blue rubber, which is your softest rubber. We have a white rubber, which is the medium one, and a black one, which is for very hard timber. So yeah, all you need to do is replace these if they're damaged. Clip them on, stick in place. Yep.
Fantastic. And in general, the clamping system on a pneumatic underpinner, as opposed to perhaps a step down, maybe the Minigraph 3, the U300, or
yep.
even perhaps a manual underpinner. Can you just quickly give us an overview on the comparisons between perhaps a manual underpinner as opposed to a pneumatic in terms of its clamping system and its advantages?
Yep. With this system, your moulding always stays still, and you move the clamping mechanism via this handle here. So the moulding will always stay stable. Where if you come to Minigraph 3, the clamping system and the nail system will stay stable, but you move the moulding around the system. So the foot operated is exactly the same.
Yep.
You clamp down, top system comes down, but you move the moulding. So, and the difference, as you can see, this one is a table mounted system. You actually mount it into a table. The U400 comes on a stand, so you can move it around. You can work from the back, work from the front. You can also tilt this on an angle so that you can put a header board on it, so you have less floor space.
On some of the underpinners, and particularly U400S, there is an adjustable fence. What's the advantage of that as opposed to something with a set 45?
Yep. So on the U400S, sorry, you have 2 different adjustabilities. So you can adjust the fence is in tilt. So with some of our mouldings or mouldings that are in the system, the bottom edge and the back edge is not completely flat. They might have a little ramp on it, so that you can adjust the ramp on this to meet the moulding. Also, we do have a 45 adjustment here. So if your timber is a little bit not straight or not cut exactly right, you can adjust the 90 degree to bring your joint in. But it is a double-edged sword, because when you adjust something that's out of 90, by the time you get around to the last bit, it can be a little bit out, but depending on how your moulding is, you might be able to get away with it.
Just touching on the clamping system here on the pneumatic underpinner. One of the common questions I get from framers is how critical it is to have that horizontal clamp in place when joining. What's your views, Alan, on that? Is that something that's critical in terms of joining everyday mouldings?
Yes and no. What it can do is, by pushing the clamp down, it actually forces the joint really tight into the fences. But in some mouldings, it can actually open the back as well. So in some cases, it's a 50-50 whether this is actually going to be right for you, and sometimes it won't be, sometimes it will be. But definitely putting it in there and just giving it a bit of a jiggle will actually pull the joint in really tight.
Yeah. I think we'll hit Cyber World out there if there's any questions at present on underpinners. If you've got any maintenance questions for Alan, please hit them now. Send them through so we can hit it one by one once we touch on the underpinners, we're going to head over to the Morse guillotine. So if there's anyone with some questions on the underpinner, please feel free to send it through.
Alan, what would you do if you noticed an air leak?
Find out where it's coming from first. Sometimes it might be just the hose fitting on the regulator. If it's under the machine, as I said before, it might be one of the valves that's just about to go, or it might be one of the seals in either the hammer seal or one of the clamps. Any air leak is a telltale sign that something's going to fail in the near future, so you want to get on top of it if it's constantly leaking. If it's just a quick gush through the cycles, it might be just normal, and maybe one of the silencers is broken and might sound different, but if it's a constant leak, you'll need to get looked at.
You said it's a constant leak at the bottom.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it would need to be looked at to find out where it's coming from. And it's a hard task to know exactly which one, because there's about 5 different valves in there, and it could be the valve itself, or it could be one of the cylinders leaking.
What happens when the outside edge is open again?
The outside edge. On the back edge of the frame. The biggest thing that these guys get blamed for is the way the joint is, but necessarily it's not necessarily the V-nailer's fault. All the problems may be because of the timber or from the cutting. So either your saw or your guillotine. The easiest way to test whether it's your guillotine or your V-nailer is to put your moulding on a flat surface and just slide them together. And if they look perfectly just by sliding them together, it might be something to do with your V-nailer. But if it's not looking perfectly just by putting it onto a flat surface, well then it's nothing to do with your V-nailer. Another thing to look at is the back of your fence, because a lot of people do use glue on your mouldings. If at the back edge your fences have built up of glue, they won't sit nice, and it will cause a lot of issues. Some people like to get a Stanley knife and clean that glue off. I wouldn't suggest it at all. It does take material off the steel. The glue is a water-based glue, so what you could do is just wet a rag and just get it damp and wipe it off, or use a paint scraper and just lightly scrape it off.
Is the plunger suitable for the older machines, like the Minigraph 44?
Yeah, the 44 will have the plunger, the rear clamp, exactly. Or you're talking about the top clamping system. Because if you have an older type of 44 and you want this setup, you can retrofit this whole arm so that you can adjust like this. So yes, it comes on the new system, but you can retrofit the 44. Also, the Minigraph 3 has the same setup, so you can retrofit that as well.
I've got another question here asking, is there a good way to measure the angle of the joint to see if it's at a 90-degree angle?
You can get protractors that are already set to 90 degrees that you can put in there. Engineering shops will have a square, a 90-degree square that you could use. That's probably the best scenario.
Yeah. One other thing, Alan. One of the common situations, particularly a custom framer, is that they'll have one compressor hooked up, and they'll have multiple machines hooked up to the compressor, whether it's a computerized mat cutter or an air gun or an underpinner. Is it critical to have an independent compressor hooked up to your underpinner?
It all depends on the air volume for your tank. So if your tank's big enough, it will cope. You just don't want your compressor running all the time because it will burn out the motors. But if you're using multiple machines, check your pressure gauge into the machine and just watch to see how much pressure you're actually losing from the gauge. And if another machine is working and the pressure gauge is dropping while you're using it, obviously the tank that's supplying the machines, or it's not big enough, or yeah, you need to run a separate machine.
I think we'll head over to the Morso now. Yeah. Touch a little bit on the Morso guillotine. Now this here is our Morso F Deluxe guillotine. Pretty much a basic setup for those who are looking maybe at an entry-level setup where just a basic guillotine, basic underpinner, you know, a tabletop mat cutter. This is ideal in that situation. And we also see a lot of established framers around the country, you know, been in the industry for 30, 40 years. They can't let go of their guillotines, you know, it's their staple in their machinery. So do you want to give a quick overview, Alan, on something to look out for in terms of some of the critical issues on the guillotine?
Yeah, no problems. Guillotine, it's pretty robust, pretty bulletproof, but they do need to be lubricated. A lot of people don't lubricate the machine. The main knife block and guides are running on a metal-to-metal surface, so they do need to be lubricated. And when they're not lubricated, you do get some wear. Where to look for is where the knife block lifts up and down. By grabbing the knife block and moving side to side, if you've got movement, you've got issues in the guides that need to be rectified. Also, once your head's locked in place, you shouldn't be able to move backwards and forwards. If you can move backwards and forwards, it might be that your tooth arc is worn, or there is a location pin underneath two guide blocks. They might also be to lubricate the slides, just use you can either use a motorcycle chain lube or a product called Tack 2, something that's nice and tacky and will stay on there. If you use something like CRC or WD-40 or just a normal machine oil, it will run off and it won't stay there long. You want something to stick on there and stay. So it's just a matter of putting the knife there and spraying in the surfaces where they move, and just operate the machine a few times, and it will lubricate itself.
In terms of the blades, Alan, I mean, how regular should be sharpening your blades, and also, you know, how critical is it for your bottom blades perhaps to be sharpened as well?
Yep. As far as how often to sharpen them, it's something you'll gauge on the cut quality. So looking at when it's been cut, it should be nice and smooth, no gouges in it or anything like that. If there are gouges, I'd say you might have a nick in the top blade, or you might have a damaged bottom blade as well. Telltale signs of your bottom blade's being damaged. When you cut and you go to lift the top blades up, it might catch the wood, or might be really aggressive to try and to cut. It should be nice and smooth. You can also just put a piece of paper in there and just try and cut it. This paper's nice and thin, it won't fold in between the two, because there's a very fine gap between the top blade and the bottom blade. A lot of people don't know that there is bottom blades, but yeah, they're not meant to be sharpened. You can just put them on a slipstone and just clean up any nicks on them, but if they are damaged, you need to replace them.
So any custom framer can actually get in there and take the bottom blades off themselves?
Yeah.
Is it an easy process? Or?
It's easy to take them off and have a look. Resetting them may be an issue. If you put them on incorrectly, you might actually break your top blades. So it's something to be mindful of. The easiest way to check your blades if they are damaged is when you take the top blades off. And I suggest take the top blades off before you lift the bottom ones, because as you know they're quite sharp. You can get a torch in behind and have a look, and just run your finger across the bottom edge of the blade. Because the bottom blade isn't sharp, but it's almost a 90-degree angle. It is a tungsten steel, so that's why it's so strong, but it's not sharp as far as the top blades are.
We also have an in-house blade sharpening service. Did you want to quickly touch on that?
Yeah, we have a blade sharpener that's actually made by Morso. So both left and right blades are match ground, so they're put in the machine together and they're both machined perfectly together. They're hollow ground as per Morso specification.
Right. Just one final question on the wood. So, I mean, we've got different types of timbers out there, soft timbers, your hardwoods and so forth. Does your technique need to alter in accordance to the different types of timbers that you cut?
Yeah, for sure. Harder timbers, you probably wouldn't go 2 or 3 notches, only 1 at a time. And the last cut is always the most important one. You'll notice on your tooth arc that all of these ones are all the same width. Your very last one is a half a cut. So the last cut is the most important out of all of them, especially on hard timbers. Because what can happen is as you're cutting, it can separate the wood just a tiny bit. So when you go to join it, you'll see that the top edge looks terrible. And that's only because when it cuts, it pushes the molding away. So last trimming cut is very important, and sharp blades.
Yeah.
If it's a soft timber, you can probably get away with it, but harder, definitely not.
Before we head into some questions and head over to the Valiani computerized mat cutter, one of the common questions I get from a lot of framers out there is they have one of these setups, a basic setup, and they're looking to step up, whether it's production or the efficiency in their cutting, and they're looking at a double miter saw. Can you give us perhaps an advantage of a double miter saw in terms of its cutting ability in comparison to a Morse guillotine?
Yeah, they both have their place. You know, guillotines are small footprint, no dust, no noise, but they can't cut a gesso or high compo molding as nice as what a saw can cut one better than a guillotine. Plus also the width as well. And there's a longer time between sharpening blades. So, you know, if you're sharpening your blades every month or so, you know, you might get 3 to 4 months out of a saw. So.
Yeah. And depending on the type of action too, with that downward action on the Morse in comparison to the cross action of a Brevetti, does that give you a bit of a cleaner cut?
No, it's probably about the same, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Any questions out there, everyone?
So we've got a couple of questions here, Alan.
Yep.
When I use my Prism CD miter saw, I find a lot of moldings have a tendency to chip, even with the new blades. Do you have any tips to reduce this from happening?
Belts, maybe vibration.
Yeah, there could be vibration in the machine. Just put your hand on the machine while it's running and just see if there's any vibration. Depending on where the chipping is, the Brevetti can chip a little bit up towards the top edge of the machine. There is an adjustment on the fence that we can minimise that. It's just basically because the timber's sitting in no man's land and it can chip. Also, if you just come really, really slowly back, rather than being fast on it, that can stop the blowout as well.
I think on the Brevetti as well, one of the quick maintenance tips is you can actually take off that top plate, that top layer. I think there's 4 little Allen keys up the top. Take that lid off, have a look inside, then you actually feel the tension of your belts itself. So you might be able to see a bit of a
there might be a belt there that could even have a nick out of it, and that could cause a vibration, and that vibration will definitely blow out the back and mold.
Can you tell us the importance of level guides? Just touch on that for us.
Level guides.
Guides.
Level guides.
Level side extensions on Morso or Valiani.
Extension.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. If it's extension arms, maybe for support.
Also, could you mention any brand of lubricant you use?
I usually use a motorcycle chain lube. You know, I use a Belray, but you can use there's a CRC product called TAC2, which you can get at Bunnings. It's quite good. So anything that if you spray it on your finger and you pull when it starts to dry, it's tacky. That's what you need.
Final question, guys? No?
All good?
All right. I think we're going to head over to the Valiani CMC now. Okay. Over here in our showroom, we're just going to touch on a few general maintenance tips and tricks on computerized mat cutter for those who have one out there. Very important that we keep the machines maintained and up and running, certainly during the busier periods. Right here we have the Mat Pro Ultra V, which is the actual vacuum bed, and we'll touch on the box making tool in a second, but I'll just let Alan elaborate on what to look out for on a computerized mat cutter and some of the critical points.
Okay, so this machine is, as you know, it's driven by air and electricity. So the air system that comes in here, it's no different to a V-nailer. Once again, you need to make sure that it is dry air, no water in the system at all. You do have a water catch somewhere on the machine. The second one's a lubricator. If you can see here, this lubricator is actually empty. On the new machines, there's no need for oil in any of the Ultra systems. We've got a new valve system in it that doesn't need to be lubricated. If you've got an older machine that is not moving the oil and it's been there for 2 to 3 years, the lubrication system is obviously not doing its job. Or if it has no oil, it needs to be topped up, for sure. And that's just an air-to-all oil as well. Moving along to the tracks of the machine, so gantry runs along the tracks on both sides. You should have got a can of this Valiani spray that comes with the machine. Basically, it's just a matter of spraying into the guides. Don't go crazy with it, just a quick mist with it on all the tracks. So on the front side, the back side, there's 2 tracks, but the arm runs up and down as well. So just a quick spray on there, operate the machine backwards and forwards, and it will lubricate itself. The next scenario on the entry-level machines are these belts. So this is a timing belt on both the top and the bottom. So the tension should be about, just fit 2 fingers through. But if you find that one belt is a lot looser than the other one, it could be on its way to break. And the problem with that is, because they are toothed, you can see they do have a ribbing on the bottom. Gantry can run sideways, and if it does, you'll get grinding in the tracks, which will cause more damage.
Alan, with our preventative maintenance program, what are some of the critical points that you look for or that you service during that point in time?
Yeah, well, I look at all of those scenarios. I'll look at any noises that are coming from the machine that you may or may not be aware of. The good thing with these machines are when they start to go off, they go off very slowly. So you may not necessarily realise what's going on, but yeah, I'll pick it up straight away. So the next lubrication is of the head itself. So the blade plunger here is a metal-to-metal surface. So this is quite important. I'll be lubricating this every 6 months or so. I'll just show you how to lubricate that. So once you've taken your head off, if you've got an interchangeable head, if you're not, you can actually take it off. So you'll notice that there is a little screw here. Just undo that. So it does have a spring on it, so just make sure you don't drop the spring. With that off, you should be able to move the blade slide quite freely. So all we need to do is just spray a little bit of lubricant on a bit of mat board or something, scrape it off with a blade, and just drip into those edges of where the blade plunger slides, and just lubricate that. Once you've done that, put your screw back in, and once the screw's in, just turn it till the thread bites, and once it's bitten, you can actually do 3 full revolutions. 1, 2, 3. It's not that important, 3 to 4. Don't just do 1 because it can fall out. If you do too much, it'll restrict the amount of throw that the blade will have. Another question that I do get is black dots that appear onto your mat boards. and they're not oil-based. No, they're not. Once we take the wheel off itself, okay, so what we have is the main wheel, and we have an axle. So the axle has like a little, it's got a Teflon coating that's built on the axle, and that's what's actually wearing off, and it's coming out of the wheel and dripping on your mat board. So every once in a while, just get a tissue and just wipe it, put it back on, or you may need to replace both of them. In most cases, you might need to just replace the wheel. So what we're looking at the wheel is making sure that it is nice and flat, no raised edge, and it's got heaps of meat. Putting it back on is just quite as simple as putting it the way we took it off.
And all these parts, Alan, they're readily available here at Antons?
Certainly are. Yep. There is a different setup. People who don't like the wheel, you can get a Teflon pad that fits on it. There are pros and cons though. If you're going to use this head, you can't cut double mats as a stacked. You have to do them independently because of the way that the head needs to move in, where you can get away with a 5mm reveal in this scenario. Okay.
Very good. I just wanted to sidetrack a little bit, but still keep on the CMC subject. One of the questions I tend to get, and particularly at installation point of a computerized mat cutter, is whether to have your computerized mat cutter laying stable, flat, or upright on an angle. What would be the advantages of either or either?
With a machine on an angle, you do definitely get a little bit less of a footprint, because you can put it up against the wall a little bit easier. But the higher it goes up, you can get some openings that will slip, multi-openings, text and stuff will slip. So flat's always good.
Yeah. Okay. Box making tool. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So with the software, you do get a creasing head. So the creasing head has different wheels that you can put on. So there's different types of creasing that you can crease the mat board with. And what we'll do is I'll just go through the design of making a quick box, and we'll cut one and just show you what it's like. Okay. Is it really good light on the screen? Okay, so our box making software. So what I'm doing is just putting in the mat board thickness. So what we're going to be using is just some cardboard. So it's just a corrugated cardboard we're going to make a box out of. So on the screen here, I just type in thickness, which is 2.5. Now with this box making software, there's some 500 different designs of all different types of boxes that you can make. All of them are resizable. So what I'll do is I'll just, so it gives you a 2D picture that you can flick through and try and find what you want to cut. If you want to see a 3D picture of it, it's just a matter of getting a drop down bar to give you a 3D picture. Just like that. Once you're happy with the design, so it gives you a picture and it looks quite daunting, but realistically, from here all you need is 3 different sizes: your length, your width, and your height of the box. So on the design, you sort of go, well, which one's my width, which one's my height? So if you're not sure which orientation you want the box to open, you can just double click in the length, and it shows you actually what the length of the box is going to be, and the width as well. So once you're happy with typing in your sizing, so it's a nice square box. We're happy with that. So there's two different scenarios we can do here. We can actually export it to the software so that you can always cut this design. You don't need to redesign it. It's just basically like a saved map. You can just open it and cut it. You don't have to resize anything. But if you're never going to cut this box again, it's a one-off. There's no point exporting it and using up your memory. So all we do is we just press the picture of the B at the top. What that does just sends it straight through the software. And you can tell on the machine that I'm cutting one type of material. So I'll just made up the material here. Press cut. Load the material. I've already loaded it in. It asks me to put the creasing head in, which is what I just put in there. Yep. Press go.
What's the maximum thickness of substrate you can actually?
5 mil.
5 mil?
Yep.
And to create a box, Alan, can you create a box out of just plain mat board as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now the software is asking me to put the 90-degree heading.
So, Alan, you mentioned there's over 500 templates on the box making program. Can you actually customize your own?
There's certain aspects that you can customize. You know, there's curves that you can add 2 or 3. The way these tabs are, if you need a bigger box, you can make 4 or 5 of those tabs. There's only a certain amount of things you can modify other than the length, width, and height. But out of those 500 different designs, if you can't find something you're looking for and you need something specific, we can request the exact same what you want to put in.
So this product here that we're making the box out of, that's just standard box
Cardboard, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's finished. So Andrew said that this is box making software. Well, it's really not box making software, it's box cutting software because you have to make it yourself. So what it's done is it's creased where all the creasings need to be. Just a matter of now it's your task to fold the cardboard. Yes, it can. Yep. So let's just taps and locks in.
That's brilliant.
It's all locked in. There's 2 tabs all in here. That's just one of 500 different designs.
Perfect. Brilliant, Alan. Thank you very much. And of course, that interchangeable head, that's an option for all the CMCs at present. So from the Mac Pro Ultras through to your Maximus, and also to the brand new machine that we're going to be introducing to the Australian market, the largest CMC on the Australian market, which will cut a board size of 60-inch by 104-inch, called the Gladius, Valiani Gladius. I believe the Gladius was launched at the Las Vegas trade show, West Coast Art Fair, in January this year by Valiani. So we're very excited to introduce it to the Art and Frame show being held in Sydney this year in August. So that's something to look forward to, guys. I know Alan's really keen to unpack this machine and set it all up himself, so he'll need probably 10 guys to assist him, but we're looking forward to presenting that machine to the Australian custom framing industry. So what you'll see now is just a bit of a glimpse on how the machine operates and just the pure size of it. So I'll leave it to Monique. As you can see there, guys, it's an exciting machine, and particularly for those who regularly cut quite large mat board and step up to that size of that 48 by 96 or 60 by 104-inch board size. So we'll be launching that in Sydney this year, and please look out for it. Before we head into speaking with Katrina at Centrepoint Finance, we're just going to ask the world out there any questions on the CMC.
So Alan, we have a question here about a company moving to a new premises, and they're wondering if they should move their Valiani machine in one piece or two pieces.
Yeah, it all depends on what type of machine you've got and how easy it is to move out of the doorway. If you can keep it together through the doorway, it might be okay. Just make sure that the machine is strapped down from the base. Don't run a tie down across the top of the machine and tie it down, you'll actually wreck the machine. If you are separating the machine, you'll need to make sure that you don't damage any of the valves or clamping system underneath.
We have another question here about, do Antons supply the cardboard sheets for boxes?
We can. It's not a standard product offering for us, but we have access to the cardboard, so yes.
There's a question here asking about an old Mac Pro 150. They're saying it's hooking slightly on the bottom right-hand corner. What do you suggest?
Manual machines that are hooking in one corner is primarily something that's happening with the customer itself rather than the machine, because it is technique-based, but it's not totally that. It could be something like the counterbalance could be playing up. One of the production stops could be moving. There's a number of things because it's not mechanical always. It could be the customer doing it. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Something that needs to be looked at in person, I suppose.
Do you require a special head for making the boxes?
You require the creasing head. So this is the one that does the creasing. If you don't have a 90-degree head or the AVON head, which is this one here. So if you don't have a 90-degree head for cutting straight, you will need to purchase that one as well.
I think that's it for questions.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Alan. Just before we head to Katrina, do you want to quickly touch on our preventive maintenance program and what we offer our clients out there?
Yep. So the preventive maintenance program, basically it's a one-time yearly fee. You get two services out of that. So you can take it two ways. You pay for one, you get one for free, or either way, it doesn't really matter.
And what's covered on that?
So basically, it looks at all the lubrication systems I was talking about, checking on CMCs, calibration, hooking, V-grooving, all the types of things that go off slowly, replacing anything that needs to be done, and picking up on any scenario that you may not be aware of. And it is important in the sense of if it does break down, as Andrew said, my states are quite big, and I could be in Perth when another machine breaks down in South Australia or Melbourne, may not be able to get to it for a week or 2 weeks, so it's good to keep on top of all these breakdown issues.
Yeah, for those who are interested in the program who haven't signed up before, please talk to your account manager and they'll certainly give you assistance in that regard. And for those viewers out there today, we will have an offer for you guys as a thank you. So please check your emails next 24 hours or so, and we'll certainly have something there for you. All right, guys. Well, just in wrapping up, thank you very much for taking your time out today. As I said earlier, we do appreciate it. We know how busy you guys are out there, so taking an hour out of your life just to gain a little bit of knowledge on some of the machines, we do appreciate it. And as I alluded to earlier, we will run a couple of machinery webinars over the course of the year, different machines, different knowledge, so just get you guys up to date. And, as I said, if you can take one or two good things out of the webinar today, fantastic. It's all good for us. So we thank Alan. Thank you for your time. And
there's a couple of questions. One was about booking in services and stuff. Yeah, just book them in through your rep, and they'll organise a service run for me to come into the state where you are and back. We'll organise that. No problems.
Any other further questions, Monique, before we close?
I think that's it, guys.
That's it. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks.